but a miscarriage in July. And this is obviously something that the couple have kept private for a number of months. But she has written an article herself in the New York Times, which has just been released, The Losses We Share, talking about a moment after she'd been holding Archie and a pain that she'd felt, and that she realised that she was suffering a miscarriage. She hasn't, as far as I know, been public about this at all.
Not at all.
Until
Completely
now.
New revelation. It happened in July. Very sad news, obviously, for her and for Prince Harry. She's revealed it herself in this piece in the New York Times, just breaking now. And obviously that will, I think, strike a chord with everyone who's been through this. We know many, sadly, pregnancies end in miscarriage. Dr. Hillary, just to bring you in there, we've just heard about this, but it's something that many of our viewers will have been through as well.
Absolutely. About 1 in 5 of all pregnancies will end in miscarriage. And, of course, it's always a huge loss. It's a bereavement that often lasts with the parents for the rest of their lives. And it's really important that they have counselling and they get this in perspective so that they can carry on. But, yes, it's a horrible loss, a dreadful loss. And one sympathises. One
of the things, I mean, enormous sympathies for Meghan and for the couple and for the family, because that is a tragic loss and incredibly hard to deal with. One of the things that it will do is it'll provide some comfort to other people who have been in that situation when somebody so high profile speaks out about something that is very difficult to talk about. And, that will be some measure of support for anybody else who has suffered this tragedy, because for a lot of women it is misunderstood, the pain of losing a baby through miscarriage. So they will be very grateful for her openness and honesty. It is quite a remarkable piece today in the New York Times, and as I say, it's written directly by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, very open and honest about a very difficult experience. She starts, it was a July morning that began as ordinarily as any other day. She changed the diaper of their baby son. She felt a sharp cramp. I dropped to the floor with him in my arms, humming a lullaby to keep us both calm, the cheerful time, a stark contrast to my sense that something was not right. I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. And hours later, she said, she was admitted to hospital as a result of what happened. I lay in a hospital bed holding my husband's hand. I felt the clamminess of his palm and kissed his knuckles, wet from both our tears. Staring at the cold white walls, my eyes glazed over. I tried to imagine how we'd heal. I mean, that's a very open, brutal, honest account of what happened to the couple back in July. Dr. Hillary, going into hospital after a miscarriage, it is a major event, isn't it, medically?
Yes, sometimes there is an intervention that needs to happen if the miscarriage isn't complete, but it just compounds the discomfort and the psychological trauma that is associated with losing a baby. And one never gets over it. So it's important to talk about. I'm glad she's written this article because it'll be something that many women can identify with. They know they're not alone. And it's important to, as a part of grieving, to discuss it, so that, in a way, it's an opportunity to grieve and vent your feelings, get over the anger and the denial that it's happened, and to be able to move forward with your life.
Extraordinary that no one's heard about this before now. Where are we? November. This is 4 or 5 months ago that this happened in July, presumably in California, where they're now living. So sad news for them. Sad news for them both.
Yeah, losing a child means carrying an almost unbearable grief experienced by many but talked about by few. In the pain of our loss, my husband and I discovered that in a room of 100 women, 10 to 20 of them will have suffered from miscarriage. Yet despite the staggering commonality of this pain, the conversation remains taboo, riddled with unwarranted shame and perpetuating a cycle of solitary mourning. Well, of course, the Duchess will this morning have gone a long way to remove the taboo of miscarriage and to tackle, as she says, that unwarranted shame, and perhaps bringing to many people comfort in that cycle of mourning. So we can speak this morning to our ITV Royal editor, Chris Shipp, This is a very honest account of a tragic event, Chris.
Yeah, morning. It is exactly that. I hope you can hear me at the moment. I'm just actually on the school run, so signal's not brilliant. But yeah, it is a very tragic account where she writes very powerfully about loss and about her and Harry's heartbreak as they experience this, as she writes so many people do, in the hospital where she went, how many people had actually suffered a very similar thing to them. So I mean, and she relates a lot of it as well to the loss that many people have felt this year during coronavirus. But a very personal article that she's written this morning for the New York Times.
And extraordinary, Chris, that this is the first we've heard about this, given it happened back in July.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. And, you know, they have been continuing to do certain things, but most of the stuff they've done, Piers, has been, you know, on video calls like this. They've done, you know, video calls, FaceTime and all the rest of it. We haven't seen a great deal of them out in public. You'll recall that picture that they took on Remembrance Sunday when they went to the Los Angeles National Cemetery. Some people criticise that, but we haven't seen them that much in public. And therefore, I suppose that's a lot easier to keep something like this private, much easier perhaps than it would have been, for example, had they still been in the royal family. But
Right.
it's quite unusual, I think, for someone to talk about miscarriage in such an open and personal way.
It is.
Yeah, and they've been controversial figures, inspiring a lot of support, a lot of people, including myself, being very critical of them for a number of things. But this is one of those moments when all that is irrelevant. This is just a very sad personal tragedy for Meghan and Harry. And I think we all just send them our very best wishes. It's
Yeah,
a powerful,
I agree with
it's a powerful piece in the New York Times. I just read it. It's a very moving and powerfully written piece.
And one of the things, Chris, is that Meghan always wants to be open about things when she can, because she knows that that will provide some comfort, some insight for other people who perhaps, you know, can't speak out about their experience.
I think you're right. And it's in the same way that Prince Harry in the past has spoken about his mental health and his struggles dealing with the death of his mother. And, you know, the royal family often say one of the ways in which they hope to help people is not just the sort of duty and service that we might talk about that the Queen has shown over these years, is also for Harry, you know, sometimes opening up in public, because that can help other people open up, particularly, say, men, for example, with mental health. I think Meghan's probably using this as an opportunity for other women to talk about miscarriage in such an open way. And she even refers to the question that our colleague Tom Bradby asked her in that documentary, Are You OK? You remember her reply, thanks for asking, because not many people have. And she writes in the article about that particular moment and how sometimes that's the best thing to do, particularly at a time like this COVID pandemic we've all been living through, is just actually go and ask people, are you OK? And that can sometimes be the greatest help.
We have learnt, she writes, that when people ask how any of us are doing, and when they really listen to the answer with an open heart and mind, the load of grief often becomes lighter for all of us. In being invited to share our pain, together we take the first steps towards healing. Those are the closing words of an incredible